Hello and welcome to another Manimate Unreal tutorial. Today we are going to look at doors and how to make them functional, let the player walk up to them, open and close the door, and that's about it. Stay tuned. Alright, so I'm in the same project as my last video. If you saw that, we did a lamp. If you didn't see it, be good to watch it, but you don't have to do this. You can ignore the lamp and the file there. So if you haven't watched the last video, right click down here in your main content folder section and click new folder and then name it blueprints, and then we'll be on the same page. So in your blueprints folder, want to right click, new blueprint class, and we want to click actor, and we want to name this BP underscore door. I'll just call it door single. That'll do. Door single. That'll do. Right. Double click that to open up the editor, blueprint editor. We have nothing but the default scene root. So up in the corner here, we want to click add component and static mesh. Be careful you don't hit skeletal mesh. Hit static mesh, and we're going to call this door. That'll be fine. Over in the static mesh section, click on none and search for door and select SM door. By the way, for this you do need to have the starter content in the project, so you should have the starter content file. If you don't have that, you won't have the door model. I think there's a way you can get it, but I'm not sure how, so you may have to find another tutorial or just start a new project with the starter content enabled. Anyway, we're going to move on, push on. Time is money. Right, so inside our door single, we've got our door. Now we want to bring in a box collision, and we can call that trigger. And over in the viewport here, we're just going to move it roughly to the middle. I don't know where the middle is, roughly about there. Bring it up to where the handle is, and we're going to press R so we can go to scale, and we'll scale it out to about there. And we will scale it out, say, to about there, I would say, and then up, whoops, and then up to about there. I think it needs to go up a tad. There you go, that'll do us. So when our player walks into this box, we'll be able to interact with the door. I'm also going to bring in an arrow, because I like arrows. Now the arrow should be pounded to the top, so if it's under the trigger, my voice is going a bit, if it's under the trigger, just drag it up to the default scene there. Whoops, I've just replaced it. Don't do it twice. Just do it the once. And also this trigger box needs to be dragged, because it's underneath the door there. I made a mistake there. I should drag that up to the default scene root, attach, so they're all equal, they're all in line. Right, you can see the arrows. All the arrow is a marker, or it doesn't show up in the game. It just shows us which way the item is facing, so we know which way left or right is and all that kind of thing. Right, anyway, right, with that done, we're also going to bring in a text render, and we're going to call this player tip, and we will also drag this up to the default root and attach so that they're all in line. The text is here. Over in the side here, we can replace that text with press F, so it shows the player. They can press F and it'll open the door. Scroll down a little bit, you've got horizontal alignment. Let's get that to center. Now we'll just manually move this above the door. Right, with that done, that's pretty much all our visuals. So the first thing we're going to do is get a variable. Now this door, if you look at the rotation, is all zeros, which is good. It's closed, that's where we want it to be. If you press E on your keyboard and switch to rotation mode, we're going to rotate it inwards. You can rotate it outwards if you like, it's up to you. So if you rotate it inwards, you can see the value there. up the top right is -90, and also on the turny wheel here it says -90. So that's the value we want. So what we're going to do is click variable down here, plus, and add a new variable, and we're going to call this door rotation. That'll do. And up here we want to switch it from boolean to vector. Sounds like a evil villain, vector. And that's that. There's nothing showing up here yet because it says please compile the blueprint. So let's compile, and then it shows us then the values that we can enter. So in the z value we want to put -90 because that's what our value was. Excellent. Let's compile that, and we're pretty much done in the viewport. So let's go over to the event graph. We can select and delete those, and we can start building our script. So to start off, we want the trigger to detect when a player walks into the box. If we scroll down over here, slide this across, you can see begin overlap. Click that. So when a player overlaps that trigger box or walks into the trigger box, we want it to do something. Now, the first thing we want to happen is we want this text to pop up on the top to show the player what he has to do or she has to do. So we want to pull that out, and we want to enable input right there. So that is enabling the input from the player's controller, which is here. So we drag that off and look for get player controller. So we'll just slide that under there. So we get the player controller. So it allows the player to press a key like F key to open the door. And the next thing we want to do really is toggle visibility of the player tip, which is the text. Like you see, it automatically brings it in for us. So we can put that there nice and neat. And you thinking ahead, we want this text to disappear when we leave the box, so we can select the trigger again and have end overlap. Move that up, and we can, when we end the overlap, we want to disable, do the exact opposite, disable the input from the player controller. There. Nice. I like it when it's nice and it's symmetrical like this. So when we walk in the box, we're going to enable the input and show the text. This is the text here. We're going to toggle the visibility of the text. And when we end the overlap, we're going to disable the input from the controller and toggle the text. So if you compile that now and press play, if your window doesn't pop up like this, then you need to select this down arrow and select new editor window. Oh, I haven't put the door in yet. I always make that mistake. Where's my, there it is. Where's my door? There's my door. Alright, and there's the arrow, look. It's showing us that it's pointing the wrong way. Oops, I accidentally duplicated it. It's showing us that we're facing out the wrong way, and also the text is back to front. So what we can do is press E and rotate 180 degrees there, and press W again to readjust its positioning. So there you go. Oops. Do apologize, I'm having a bit of what's going on here. Alright, I don't know why this arrow is so big. Let's make this arrow a bit smaller because this is gonna bother me. Why is it so big? Look at the scale on this. Right, that's better. Press these little arrows on the sides, reset the defaults. Just reset, if yours is big like mine, reset them so they're all ones. That'll make more sense. So over here now we can see it's 1. If I press F, it will center on it properly. There you go. Right. So there you go. The happy days, it's in there. So if we press play now, oh, I've got it the wrong way around. When we approach the door, it actually disappears. That's another mistake I keep making. So go back to the viewport. Sorry about this. Select your player tip, and down in, Where's it gone? Rendering. It says visible. Deselect visible because we don't want it. Oops. We don't want it visible by default. There you go. So it's not there now. We go into the box and then it says press F. Come out the box. There we go. And that clear tip is actually huge as well. I don't know why they've scaled. So press reset on that if yours isn't all ones. There you go. So that now will be the right size. There you go. That's all I wanted. Don't ask for much, do I? Press F. There you go. And leave the box and it goes away. Happy days. So that is sorted. Let's go back to the event graph and get the functionality for the door. Alright then. So if you did watch my last video with the lamp, you will be able to right click here and type in interact, and it will come up as an action event interact. If you didn't watch my last video and you don't have this set up, go to project settings, and if your project settings isn't up there, you can go to edit and then project settings there. Down in the input, if you select that, you need to set up an interact thing there just by clicking the plus by there and then renaming this to interact, and then selecting the keyboard F button. You'll have to roll down for. F is there somewhere by there. And I also set up a gamepad face button right, so again you just select the box. You actually have to add another box and then select gamepad bottom right or whatever button you want to use as your interact. So I'm just going to delete that. So that's what you're going to do to set this up. That's all. And because that's called interact, we can call it as an event in here. So input interact. Right. So if somebody presses the F key or the button on the controller, we want something to happen. What we want is a timeline. Add the timeline, and we want to name this door open or something similar. Call it whatever you like, whatever makes sense to you. So now if we double click this this box right here, it'll bring up the timeline box. First of all, we're going to change the length to 2 seconds because 5 is a bit long, and we want a vector timeline because this is a vector right here, our open variable. So we want to name this track, let's call it, I don't know, door rotation. Door rotation, that'll do. And we're only rotating on the Z axis. We want to lock off the X and the Y, and we want to right click anywhere in here and add key to Z. So that has added a key, and with that key yellow, we can click in here. Want a time of 0, and we want a value of 0, and hit enter. So that brings the key to the very beginning. And now we want to right click again, add key to Z, and this one we want 2 because it's 2 seconds long, and in the value we want -90 because that, if we select our variable down here, that was the Z value, -90. So we put -90 in there, and that is done. That's the timeline done. So go back to the event graph, and then we want to update. Actually, don't drag off there. Grab this rotation down here, click and drag, drop it, and click set. Bring that up. We want to connect that to that. We want to connect the door rotation to the door rotation, so that'll update that using the timeline. And then what we want to do, actually, don't drag off that either. Grab our door, so it brings a reference of the door. We'll drag off that and select set relative, and we want location rotation. Set relative rotation. So that comes up. We want to connect those together, and I don't know if this will, I mean, it'll convert it. I'm not sure if this will actually work. I don't think it will, but let's compile and have a look. So if we go up to the door and press F, nope, look at that. Wow, I'm now standing on the door like a surfboard. Right, we don't want that, so click that and delete. So what we need to do here is just get the Z rotation. So we want to right click there and split struct pin, so we get XYZ, and do the same over here. Split struct pin, and then they're all green, look, so we can connect them together. Happy days. Compile, press play, go up to the door, press F, and it opens like magic. So the door stays open though, and we got no way of closing it. So how do we do that? So over here there's two ways we can do it, and you can have the two ways actually running together. First of all, you can try connecting the toggle visibility to the reverse, which basically means that when we leave the trigger, it's going to disable the input of the controller, and then it's going to toggle the visibility of the text, and then it's going to reverse the animation. So if we play that and walk up to the door, we can press F to open it, and then when we leave the trigger box, it'll automatically close the door. How nice of it. But we can also have the player close the door, and a way to do that would be drag off the input interaction thing and type in flip flop. So we get flip flop. So basically what this will do is when you press the F key, for example, it'll shoot or fire A. If you press it again, it'll fire B, and if you press it again, it'll fire A. It'll just keep going back and forth, A, B, and it'll flip flop between the two. So we want to get the B pin and put it in the reverse. There you go. So when we press F once, it'll play. Press F again, it'll reverse. Press F again, it'll play. Back and forth, it goes forever and more. So go in there, press F again, it'll close. Press F again, it'll open. Press F again, it'll close. Press F again, it'll open. And it'll still close when we leave the box. If we don't want it to close when we leave the box, just hold Alt and click on that pin to kill that pin. And now we can press F to open, F to close, F to open, and if we walk away, it'll stay open until somebody comes back and closes it shut. Happy days, all works. The one thing that bothers me about this is the text on the top does not follow me. If I go over here, I can't even see it. It's gone. See that? We don't want that. We want it to look at the camera all the time. No matter where our camera is, we want it to face us. So, how do we do that? Let's move down a little bit. Right, what we want for this is an event tick. So this event tick is quite expensive, but what it does is it fires every single frame. So if it's 30 frames, it'll fire 30 times a second. If you're playing at 60 frames, 60 times a second, whatever. But we need this to do this task. Right, so but it'll only fire, when you're in the box. It won't be firing through the whole game. It's only because it's part of this blueprint. It'll only fire when you enter the box. At least that's my understanding of it. Right, so what we want to do here is we want to set the world rotate. Oops, spelled that wrong. Rotation. Set world rotation of the player tip. Let's just move that out down there. So we set the world rotation of the player tip, and what we need is coordinates. So what we're going to do is we're going to get player controller at the top, because we want to find where the player is. Excuse me. We want to find where the player is in order to know where to rotate it to, and we're going to get, let's drag off that, get actor transform, get actor transform right there. So the transform is the kind of like coordinates basically. If you remember there, that's basically a transform. You got X, Y, and Z values, but we're not doing rotation this time. We're doing his location. Right here we got the transform. We're going to pull that out and we're going to break it. So break transform, so we can get the three different things: location, rotation, and scale. We only want the rotation. So let me just select these and move them back a little bit, give myself more room. So the rotation is what we want. What we'll do is right click and split, so we get the three green ones again, and we'll do the same up here. Right click and split, and we only want the Z. First of all, I'm going to plug them all in because I want to show you the difference. And actually after this now we also need add local rotation, and we can just select that and then drag the player tip into the target as well. So the target is for the both of them. And there we go. Let's compile. Let's play. When we go in the box, it's facing the wrong way, but it is following the camera around. Let me just sort out the rotation. First of all, down here we want in the Z axis, we want to put 180 so it'll face us. And then we can press play. It'll auto compile. So now it's facing us. But the problem is, yes, it's facing us, but if we put the camera up, it looks a bit weird. I mean, you can have it like that so it always faces. Actually, that is probably the best way to do it. What I was going to say was, if we didn't have those two, if we just had the Z axis, then it'll only stay on the Z axis. If we look up, it doesn't rotate around. You know, it rotates on the Z axis but not anywhere else. This was up to you, personal choice really. It probably is better to have the Y. Let's see what happens with the Y, just the Y. It does look up to us, so that's probably the way you want to go. Could probably do with moving out a bit higher though. Where's the player tip? Can't see it because it's obviously toggled off, but we could just move it up a little bit like that. Compile and play. That's probably better. And that's how you do that. That is it. Job and finish. We are done. Hang on. Let's put this. There you go. Full screen for the big finale where you're all going to applaud me and throw flowers my direction. Press F, follows you around. Awesome stuff. Press F, opens the door. Press F, closes the door. Press F, open the door. We can go in. We can close the door behind us. And then we can go up the stairs to bed, because we all deserve a good sleep after that. I want to say a quick note. If you can walk through your door, you might be able to walk through your door. I set collisions on mine, so I can't. If you can walk through your door, so all you have to do is select the door in your viewport, double click it in the window right there, and then you can turn on the simple collision to view. You won't see that green box if you can walk through your door. Just go up to collision and add box simplified collision, and then that green box will appear. Just click save and job done. You won't be able to walk through your door anymore. Alright, that's it. I'm out. See you in the next one. Ciao, blah.